The James Show Podcast.
And we're going to start with, the story. It won't go away because they won't let it go away. And we've remarked many times on this show how some people die and it gets in the news once and then you never hear about it again. And then somehow, and to paraphrase George Orwell, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Isn't it interesting how for some lives that are lost, we have rallies, we have protests, we have streets being blocked. For other ones, they don't care. Is Renee Good's life more valuable than other lives? Did anyone have a big rally when Carmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf? Do we have big rallies for any of the few shootings that we've had in the last few months? Anyone have rallies for the people that were murdered on DART trains? No rallies for that. So you should already be suspicious about the inconsistency and concern for the loss of life. But it's going to get even uglier than it is now. And I don't delight in telling you this. But again, I look at the media. You're informed. You have to remember about 60% of the country doesn't have any idea what's really going on. They see some things floating through their social media. They see what their favorite actor or musician tells them. And they get reinforced everywhere they turn. They get the Team Blue narrative, whether they turn on the local news, most of the national news, all the national news except for Fox and a couple other small players. Whenever they turn on Netflix, all the shows are just geared toward Team Blue propaganda. I mean, it really is that bad. And so if you want to judge on how the less informed, low information voters, what message they're getting, you have to start watching the media outside of what you normally believe in. And man, it's pretty bad. Number one, they're too positive about actual illegal immigrant gang members. The day after Renee Good was shot, there was another ICE-involved shooting in Portland. And this one, I'll go ahead and give you the ending first, tell you the story backwards. Yes, they are a married couple, but they're both affiliated with Tren de Aragua. One of them had been working for Tren de Aragua in a prostitution scheme. One of these married couple, I'm assuming the dude, but they don't specify. One of them had been involved in a shooting in Portland recently. So they're gang members. They've already committed acts of violence. They're here illegally anyway. When ICE goes to try and pick them up, they actually do try and ram the cops. They're both shot. Now they live. But remember, when Renee Good was being reported on, what was she? She was a poet and mother. Remember that? Not an activist, not someone who lost custody of her kids, not some unemployed political agitator, a poet and a mother.
37-year-old Renee Nicole Macklin Good was a U.S. citizen born in Colorado and a mother of three. In social media accounts, she described herself as a poet, writer, wife, and mom.
Okay, and so these people in Portland, what are they? Are they prostitution sting gangsters from Tren de Aragua? No, they're a married couple.
Another shooting by federal agents is adding fuel to the fire.
The Department of Homeland Security claims their agents in Portland, Oregon were trying to arrest a married couple when the suspects ran them down with their car.
They're illegal immigrants. They're in Tren de Aragua. They're wrapped up in a prostitution scheme, and they've already been involved in another shooting. Any of those identifiers would have been more useful in a news/journalistic setting, but they went with married couple. The next day, even after we know more about them, even after we've had the press conferences and the data that I just gave you is readily available, this is the next day after they've had protests for it. Still calling them a married couple.
And as we're tracking protests across the country about the Minneapolis ICE shooting, more are popping up thanks to a shooting yesterday in Portland, Oregon, where federal agents shot a married couple.
Now, this level of dishonesty, it's annoying. I got it. It's kind of sad to see how far journalism has fallen, how dishonest they are. But it's more than that. This is the false information that has Renee Good thinking she's justified in interfering with ICE raids. This is why they have entire groups that are training other people. Hey, this is how you interfere with ICE raids. Yeah, you don't actually like bother them like directly, but you do go maybe just stand in the road or pull your car sideways in the road, and just be sure to be nice to them. You can talk to them, you can harass them, but say, no, you're not bothering me. No, you just need to go get some lunch. This is the rhetoric that got Renee killed. This is the same rhetoric also because it's hyperbole on the other side. They got Charlie Kirk killed. When everyone on your side is angels and everyone on the other side is literally Hitler, then what do you want low mental acuity people to come away with? Because if it's not a lie, if it really is true, if, this lady was just a good poet and a mother who dropped off her kid at school and got gunned down just trying to go through a neighborhood, minding her own business. Now, if that was really true, and the guys that shot him really were Nazis, it's kind of logical to shoot Charlie Kirk or to shoot Donald Trump or to firebomb Teslas. These lies have real consequences that have already gotten people hurt, and they're continuing. In fact, you could say they're ramping them up. Here is Stephen Colbert with... I don't really have time to do this. All right, I got two cuts here. The lady that just got elected to be the next governor of Virginia, her name is Spanberger. She was on Stephen Colbert's show last night. Now, remember, this is a comedy talk show. This is a late-night talk show that's supposed to be comedy. They don't even bother telling jokes. It's pretty much just Democrat propaganda for the entire interview. I mean, we're not even throwing any jokes in there. Like, hey, I heard you got a new dog. None of the fun stuff in there. It's all, yep, ICE, it's terrible. They're just trying to harass people and instill fear in our population. And it's like, that's not very funny. But again, my complaint isn't that, well, Stephen Colbert, he sure could be funnier with his show. My complaint is that this is what is filling people's heads that caused the ICE officers to get shot or the ICE detainees to get shot at the ICE facility here in Dallas in our own backyard. This is the thought process. This is the misinformation and the hyperbole that is, whether it's intentional or not, that led to the group of 9 Antifa activists shooting up the ICE facility in Alvarado and the one in McAllen and all the other attacks you've heard about. This is why Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck. This is why Donald Trump got shot in the ear. And so, no, they're not learning their lesson, which I'm not here to necessarily just disparage them. That's not the point of this show. The point is act accordingly. These people are still ginning up hate against you, and the lesson is not being learned. But here we are. This is the lady who just got elected to be the next governor of Virginia on the Stephen Colbert Show. Two things I want you to take away from this. Number one is the ridiculous, over-the-top framing of Trump and ICE. Because she's going to say they just want to harass people. They just want to instill fear. Really? You don't think they just want to enforce the laws as they're written? You don't think they just want to, get illegal aliens out of here? I don't know. It's just for harassment and fear. What good does that do anybody? How would that even help Team Red? How would that even help the Republicans? How would that even help Trump? Oh, we just want to harass them and instill fear in them. That the way that, what? You'll be sure to activate them to go to the ballot box in November and vote against you? Makes no sense whatsoever. But she just says it like it's gospel truth. And Stephen Colbert's like, yeah, they're just evil. Yeah, it couldn't be that they want to enforce the law or they don't want this country to be overrun with a bunch of people who hate it or they want to make this place safer. No, they're just fear, harassment. That's all it is.
Governor.
Oh, and the second part is, this is supposed to be a comedy show, by the way. It sounds like a Democrat symposium. Like if you went to the Southern Democrat Leadership Conference or some breakout group within a convention. This does not even attempt comedy.
Governor.
Yeah.
Governors have recently, across the United States, have been put in a sort of an untenable situation, having their states invaded by their own federal government against their wishes, sending national.
Can you be invaded by your own government? Can the United States technically invade the United States?
Guard troops from other states when they weren't asked to do so. Minnesota and Illinois, and we just found this out. This is actually right before I came out here. It was announced that Minnesota and Illinois have announced that they're suing the Trump administration over.
By the way, this is the first time you've even heard from the crowd. And are they laughing at a joke? Or they're cheering about Trump being sued by 2 states? This is a comedy show?
Illinois already won over the National Guard. Now they're suing over ICE being sent in. What's your reaction to what's happening?
So I'm the incoming governor of Virginia, but I also began my career as a federal agent. I used to work narcotics and money laundering cases. I carried a gun every day. I worked on task forces with local, state, and federal police. And what I learned every single day in law enforcement is your ability to do your job is built on trust. And what we are seeing day in and day out when people are going in, wearing masks, terrifying communities, is that they're breaking down that trust. And it is actually impeding the ability to keep our community safe, to enforce the law. And as governor, I will ensure that we are a place where, yes, we uphold the law, but people know that if they are a victim of a crime, or if they are a witness of a crime, or if they are a community member, that they are in a place where there is trust that is being built and not degraded day in and day out by the tactics we're seeing.
Wow. So they just Trump wants to harass people and instill fear. That's it. He's just doing this out of spite. He's just doing this because he's a mean person. Has nothing to do with enforcing the law. Has nothing to do with respecting our immigration system. It has nothing to do with the negative consequences of unchecked illegal and illegal immigration. No, he's just doing it because he's a mean guy. Now, not only is that not true, nobody believes that. Nobody on Team Red believes that. I don't think anybody on Team Blue really thinks that's what Trump is doing. But what are they saying this for? Because there's some dumb people. Remember how dumb the average person is? Half the people are dumber than that. They get a vote, and they're influenced by such ridiculous claims. Here's another one. Again, just sowing division, just harassing people, just instilling fear. Colbert and Spanberger again.
I'll just take these two scenarios. National Guard troops are sent from another state, say Texas to Virginia, or ICE was sent in at this level of force and seemingly for just to harass and to instill fear. What responses can you have?
They keep repeating each other. Just harass and instill fear. That's all they're doing. Just harass and instill fear. Yes, they want to harass and instill fear. The guest says. Yes, the host agrees. They want to harass and instill fear. So tell me more about this. Yes, they want to harass and instill fear. We got it. ICE is evil. Trump is evil. Do you have anything of substance to say?
As a governor within Virginia law that is not superseded by federal law to actually protect the citizens of your state or the residents of your state.
Well, at the end of the day, if there is an emergency in Virginia that requires the support of the Guard, first and foremost, we have an incredible Guard in Virginia, and it is up to the governor to bring forth the Virginia Guard to help our citizens. We do not need outside support unless the governor is the one who makes that request. And so as the incoming governor of Virginia, I will make known to the Trump administration that we do not want them trying to sow fear, to sow division within our communities.
Sowing fear, sowing division. What is that vocal fry thing she kept doing at the end there? Different people have different fillers when they feel uncomfortable in a public speaking setting. And instead of letting there be a half second or a whole second of silence, they make a noise. A lot of people say, I do it too. I mean, everyone does it. But she does like the Britney Spears vocal fry, Obama used to do that.
Citizens, we do not need outside support unless the governor is the one who makes that request. And so as the incoming governor of Virginia, I will make known to the Trump administration that we do not want them trying to sow fear, to sow division within our communities.
Is that right? See, there's comedy. Make fun of her vocal fry there. Yeah, so just to get this straight, from what you heard in the last two segments, the Tren de Aragua couple that was running a prostitution scheme and already got caught up in a shooting in Portland earlier, they're just a sweet little married couple. But the ICE agents, anyone worried about their family? The guy that did the shooting, the other guy that pulled on the door, they don't have a wife, they don't have kids, they're not a poet. Are they married? Is that a married ICE agent? Does he write poetry too? Because remember, she was a poet. She was a mother and a poet, and that's all she was. Just a good old
37-year-old Renee Nicole Macklin Good was a U.S. citizen born in Colorado and a mother of three. In social media accounts, she described herself as a poet, writer, wife, and mom.
Yeah, there it is. She's a poet, writer, wife, mom. These other guys, they're just harassing people, instilling fear and terror. Expect more violence. Expect more protests. Expect more chaos. The shocking thing about the hyperbole surrounding the shootings and the whole ICE situation, no matter what town it's in, is the fact that they're not even throwing in the bullet point of, hey, maybe you shouldn't harass officers while they're executing raids, while they're in the commission of their duties. In fact, it's illegal. It's even illegal in the state of Minnesota. In fact, it's been passed around. The Tim Walz signed a bill. So it's, I don't know what all these numbers are. I don't even know what that symbol is. Paragraph 111B. Accelerating a vehicle toward a federal officer constitutes assault with a deadly weapon, up to 20 years imprisonment, justifying deadly force per Supreme Court precedents, like blah, blah, blah. So you can still hold the belief that what ICE is doing is wrong. You can still hold the belief that it's unconstitutional, or maybe they shouldn't be masking their officers. But if you were truly concerned with the well-being of the activists that are getting involved in this, you would throw in a bullet point just somewhere in there. Hey, if these are such bloodthirsty, racist monsters who are hurting people without any consequence, maybe you shouldn't block them. Maybe you shouldn't be tangling with them. Maybe even if you do, just realize it's very dangerous what you're doing. No, we should be able to call these people racist, bloodthirsty, murderous monsters, literally Hitler, but also taunt them like they're pups. What's the matter? Are you going to do nothing? Are you going to get some lunch? That's not how you would talk to someone if you really believed that they were a racist, murderous, bloodthirsty Nazi. You wouldn't be making fat jokes in the middle of the road, blocking their vehicle, now would you? So there's just a huge cognitive dissonance. But let me show you where it comes from. Your favorite Somali, Ilhan Omar. Of course, she's being paraded around the media this weekend. This is her take.
Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car, peacefully waving cars to get by. This agent, as you see, gets out of his car, automatically starts running towards her, trying to open her door. By
the way, he didn't run. He calmly walked.
She feels scared. She tries to turn the wheel away. And then
now she's scared. No, she was happy-go-lucky. So she wasn't doing this out of malice, but then she admits she's scared. Well, once you admit that, then there's the panic factor. Maybe she wasn't thinking correctly. Maybe she was trying to get out of there and oopsie, I bumped into an ICE agent, or I was indifferent to whether or not I bumped into an ICE agent. Even if she didn't, I'll be magnanimous here. I don't think she intended to kill the guy. I think she was indifferent to whether or not she bumped him because she was trying to get the hell out of there. But it was deadly force, and any reasonable person that is in front of a car accelerating towards you that hits your left leg, they might think that that's deadly assault. That's kind of reasonable.
You see the other officer who can clearly see the car is move towards the front of the car, which if they are saying that he has 10 years on service and is trained, he should know that you shouldn't be trying to get in front of a moving car. And so
that's his fault. Yeah, look, he's assaulting her. He's jumping in front of a moving car. Yeah, that's like, why do you keep hitting my fist with your face?
It is not acceptable for Kristi Noem and the president and the vice president to make these kind of judgments without there being a full investigation.
Why not? Y'all are running around calling them murderers. I'll give you Ayanna Pressley, another member of the squad. This is the bald-headed one. And she says murder 3 times in this interview. I think I have the first 2 in this clip.
The point is, the actions of ICE, they are unconstitutional, unlawful. They are cruel. They are rogue. They are racist. And they are terrorizing communities. They are sowing chaos and terrorizing communities. It has nothing to do with...
There it is again, sowing chaos, terrorizing communities. It's the same verbiage that Ilhan Omar was using, or the Spanberger on the Colbert Show that I played in the last segment. They're all just reading from the same sheet of music. Yeah, it's terrorizing them.
Public safety. And there is a cumulative toll and impact here. You know, ICE's murder of Renee Good in broad daylight is horrific and unacceptable. She was an unarmed citizen driving on a residential street, and she was shot in her car 3 times.
Yeah, she was just driving, minding her own business, like she was on the way to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee or something. No, we saw the video. I've seen it. She's been there for at least 3 minutes harassing these guys and blocking them and not allowing them to do their job and putting them in danger because now other people are starting to gather in the community. They would like to be able to just go in there, grab the illegal aliens, and get the heck out of Dodge to minimize conflict with the community, but she made it happen. And Ayanna Presley's just gassing people up for this to happen again.
The horrific actions of Renee Good, who was a wife and a mother and a poet and a concern.
She said poet. I can't believe she said that again. Poet? We're just throwing out any hobby you might have that makes you look good. What about the officer? Did he write any poetry? Did he play acoustic guitar in his church's praise band? You going to say anything nice about him? He loved puppies? No, he's just a bloodthirsty racist. What else she saying at the beginning of this? I know racist was in there.
A community member, which is why she was out there protesting in the first place. Her brutal murder. These things do not happen they're not in isolation. This is why for many years I've been calling for the abolishing of ICE. Congress must do everything in its power to rein in the terror of this lawless rogue agency.
There it is. Terror. So the takeaway from that is expect more. They like this. They're encouraging it. Nowhere did she say, hey, maybe if you're going to be observing, you should observe from a distance. Maybe you shouldn't block them with your vehicle. Maybe you shouldn't taunt them. Maybe you shouldn't get out of the vehicle and start filming you, taunting them while you're blocking them with your car in the vehicle. Maybe you shouldn't try and, skedaddle out of there. And look, worst case scenario, she actually hit the dude. Best case scenario, she made him at least jump out of the way. And not expect bad things to happen. Nowhere in there did she say that, so expect more. Hey, so coming up on Thursday, we're just 2 days away from the first of what I hope is many Parker Pours. And we're going to go down to the Omni Fort Worth Hotel and the hotel bar, a little place called the Whiskey and Rye. I'm going to do a live broadcast from 2 to 5, and then afterwards we're going to hang out and we're going to drink. Now, I can't drink during the show, but as soon as it's over, I'll have a reasonable amount before I get behind the wheel of a car. I don't know. I might just have to Uber home or catch a ride from Richard. But Whiskey and Rye, it's an awesome spot downtown Fort Worth, right across from the convention center down there. It's one of these places that has like wall-to-wall TVs, and they have like one giant projector screen. So for people that want to watch the game, they have it set up perfect for you. But they also have a ton of draft beers, craft cocktails, and a little neighborhood bar vibe. So come on down to the lobby of the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. Kick back. They got big old oversized leather chairs. They got some complimentary pool tables. And we're going to be giving away $50 gift certificates to Whiskey and Rye. There's going to be 4 we give away. And then I just heard from Chris, our promotions guy, that we're actually going to give away a pair of tickets to go see the Stars. So if I have to bribe you to come on out there, come out. I'll be live from 2 to 5. I'll hang out from 5 to 7. I don't know, maybe more like 5 to 8. And I would love to meet you. It's the Parker Pour. My next guest coming in from Poli-Sci at Tarleton State, Dr. Bo Cavallo. Welcome back to the James Show, sir. And I got to tell you, this is registering as a higher number than usual. But I got to tell you, yes. I am not surprised. The other side of that, 27% of the country identifies as Democrat, 27% identifies as a Republican. What's your explanation for this?
Right. Well, thanks for having me. Again, always great to talk to you. I think we've certainly had third-party moments, independent moments in American political history. And sometimes, to me, folks don't appreciate just how significant those have been. So, I mean, let's start with, 1912. Teddy Roosevelt runs as the Bull Moose party nominee. He gets not only 27% of the popular vote, but 88 electoral votes, challenging President Taft at the time. You had much more recently John Anderson running as an independent after leaving the Republican primaries in 1980. So didn't do as well in the Electoral College, but got 6.6% of the popular vote. And even more recently, maybe pointing to Donald Trump even, Ross Perot, let's not forget, 1992 gets 19% of the popular vote. So I feel like people are so frustrated with affordability issues, not sure what's going on when it comes to healthcare. There's this hunger out there for alternatives, and much of the rest of the world does offer voters more alternatives. So we could talk about more of the mechanics of that. I agree. It's a very timely question.
Well, let's talk about where these independents are on the spectrum, because people like to draw the political spectrum. Democrats are left, Republicans are right. Now, I consider myself a libertarian, so I'm not really on that line, because in many ways I'm more liberal than Democrats, and in many ways I'm more conservative than Republicans. Sure. So I would consider myself an independent, but a guy that if I do have to look at the scale, it would be a lot harder for me to vote for a Democrat than a Republican. There's still like the Tom Massey, Rand Paul, Mike Lee disappearing over the horizon Republicans that I can actually identify with. So really, I wouldn't consider myself in the middle. I would consider myself as sort of outside of the spectrum.
Okay. Well, and now you've really disclosed that. You may have hinted at that in the past. I'm just kidding. But I do remember you saying libertarian. Yeah. So I wouldn't make too much of the sort of the Gallup poll here. And that's a very well-established polling firm, suggests these voters are more left-leaning. I think you have to define what left means. Like you're saying, there's, some libertarians who culturally might be more progressive, other libertarians who might be libertarian because of economics. So we don't know exactly what that poll means. Let me also add the idea that independents always, like John Anderson in 1980, definitely attracted more of the young, college-educated, moderate vibe voters. Not so with Ross Perot. I mean, Ross Perot, you're talking more of the fiscally conservative, anti-establishment folks, maybe not having a cup of coffee at places like Starbucks. This is not always necessarily a moderate left-leaning dynamic. So I'd like to dig more into those numbers.
Please do.
Well, and just by comparison with, the rest of the world, let me say, I think the time might be ripe, not just for liberal-leaning voters, but for all voters to take a look at this. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen in 2026, but just given the way American parties have changed to resemble the ones that exist where you do have more than two options. Let me break that down just a little bit. Historically, in the 20th century, our two major American parties are broad distributive coalitions. So they're not defined sharply by ideas. You've got very conservative Democrats in 1950. You've got more liberal Democrats. That really has changed in the opening years of the 21st century to where you see more ideological parties now. If you're in the Republican Party, you're sort of definitely going to be voting one way on a whole host of issues, from the environment to abortion to other topics. And similarly with Democrats. So as we've become more ideologically aligned as parties and less distributive, that's what you see in party systems in Europe, but also in other parts of the world where there are independent and third, fourth, fifth party options. So I agree with this Gallup poll that we might be coming closer to a time when there's legal obstacles, there's hurdles in the U.S. We could talk about the Electoral College and winner-take-all voting systems, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 to 3 years we had another serious challenge.
Yeah, looking back, I think America missed a real chance to change for the better with that Ross Perot bit, because in hindsight, the thing that has affected me and my family the most over the last 30 years since Ross Perot is inflation and deficit spending and the debt and that's what he was all about, is keeping the size and spending of government under control. And if we had a candidate like that now, I would salivate all over him.
Well, and that's where you do see this unsettling. It seems to be a bipartisan consensus. We can keep deficit spending. We don't need a balanced budget amendment. Where's the party that's coming out in favor of term limits? So very interesting that you say that also to me, because Donald Trump, in some ways, interestingly, has reinvented, I think, the Republican Party. The kinds of positions the GOP is supporting now were not GOP positions 20, 30 years ago, and that could be for the better. But so sometimes you don't need the independent party. You have individuals who are creative, who realign an existing party. But it's like you're saying, the deficit, term limits, where are those options even within our reinvented two-party system? I don't see it. I agree with you.
Well, thank you very much. There's Dr. Bo Caballo from Tarleton State University. I appreciate your time on the James Show, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
All right, here's your another reminder. You can join me, James Parker, live this Thursday at Whiskey and Rye inside the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. 2 to 5 is the live show. We'll be having a happy hour from 5 to 7, so you can enjoy some good spirits. And we'll have a pour of the week, WBAP prizes, stars, tickets, and more to give away. That's 2 to 5, really 2 to 7 at the Whiskey and Rye, Omni Fort Worth on Houston Street with The James Show. Coming up next, we lost Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, and I'll give you my tribute on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.